Hello everybody, welcome to Planet FPL Deadline stream. It's a treble game week and it's live. We are just under an hour away from a treble game week FPL Deadline. No one had that in the sweepstake this week, but here we are. Manchester United will play this week on Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday. Will any of their players play 3 times? Fuck knows, to tell you the truth. I have made myself 2 free transfers this week, and I only have 1 Manchester United player. I have bought in, Harry Maguire, who I think, in spite of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's comments today, is the most likely player to play all 3 games. I only expect him to play twice, probably against Aston Villa and Liverpool. I bought him in for Sergio Reguilon. It was a close call between selling Reguilon and Fofana. This morning I was leaning towards Fofana. I've changed my mind. The reason I don't particularly like it is it leaves me with obviously 5 players who will blank next week who are outfield. I'm more than happy to take a -4 to get 11, but any injuries elsewhere to my other 6 is potentially going to cause me a problem or 2. And I'd rather not take a -8 in a blank game week personally. So Maguire is in, and so too is Vicente Gaeta. I've decided to solve this goalkeeper problem I've been having with Bernd Leno and Fraser Forster, which has seen me score 0 points from my goalkeepers over the last 3 game weeks. Even when I had one of them playing, Bernd Leno decided to throw one in his own goal, although I did laugh. So Vicente Gaeta is in. It was a close call between him and Jordan Pickford. Quite frankly, I could have tossed a coin between the 2 of them, but I decided, because Pickford has occasionally been rotated at Everton this year by Carlo Ancelotti in place of Olsen, that it wasn't worth the risk to potentially give me another headache problem. Gator's got the better double, so I've gone with him first, but if anybody had a preference, particularly for Pickford over Gator, I wouldn't have an issue for that. I couldn't afford to go to Emi Martinez. Otherwise, I probably would have just done that, in spite of the fact I do own Ezri Konsa. I'm lining up 4-3-3 this week. Gator in goal. Back 4 of Konsa, Fofana, Harry Maguire, Antonio Rudiger. My captain is Mohamed Salah. I have Diogo Jota, Heung-min Son with the single. Up front, Harry Kane also with the single. And the Leicester pair of Kelechi Iheanacho is my vice. Jamie Vardy, first sub, Jesse Lingard, then Stuart Dallas, Rafinha, Fraser Forster sitting on the bench. He's no doubt going to play twice and get a 12-pointer this week. But it is what it is. In terms of captaincy, as I said, I've gone with Salah. The standout choice for me is Bruno Fernandes. If you own Bruno Fernandes, I think it's very straightforward to stick the armband on him. For myself, I didn't believe it was worth getting him in, to know that I was going to have to take a hit to get him in, to make it happen, and another hit to then get rid of him next week. I didn't think it was worthwhile. For those who have got him, I think it's quite straightforward, stick the armband on him, but I didn't think it was worthwhile when there were some nice differentials. I think particularly either Salah or Iheanacho are great shouts this week. You can see the screenshot of my team, top right hand corner of the screen. You can see my top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference for this game week. Fernandes, Salah, Iheanacho, Harry Maguire, because he's the most nailed in my opinion, Jamie Vardy, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford. I'm not particularly keen on either of them, but I understand the differential pump with them. Wilfried Zaha, potential great shout, should be fine to play twice for Palace. Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Trent Alexander-Arnold sneaks into the top 10 as well. To the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see my predictions for all 15 games that are taking place this game week. And below me, you'll see 5 pages worth of benching dilemmas going across the screen, which the players with the green tick, that's the preference between the choice of 2 who to play, and they go in order from left to right. So Ward-Prowse is at the top of the list, and then you've got Connor Cody right at the bottom. Page 5 shows some goalkeeping dilemmas for you. And below me, you will see the confirmed final fixtures for each team for the remainder of this season, until Manchester United and Liverpool gets postponed again on Thursday. I don't think it will, but they'll probably try and get it off. I would suggest that Glazer's statement today was a smart thing to do, to come out and say, we will talk to you. Right, that's enough from me. Let's get into the questions. I'll go through these in order of submission as fast as I can. Lee Jim Cinnamon says, Rudiger out from -4 for Dean. I'm bench holding Fofana. Question. Covers me for game week 36. Plus I'm chasing first place in mini league. Thanks, James. But if you're chasing first place in the mini league, you probably feel like you want to do something different. A straightforward transfer doesn't make much sense to me. I was kind of set a couple of days ago on doing Rudiger out, and then I did see OTC with Rotation FPL, our Chelsea correspondent, and I found myself subconsciously predicting Chelsea for 2 clean sheets this week, which we'll see on the screen. I am potentially backing them for 2 clean sheets. So Rudiger stays for me. I'm not backing Luka Dean for either clean sheets. I'm only backing Everton to score the once as well. So it's going to be a no from me, mate. Edwin Guan, hello James, Vardy or Kane, Son and Cody or Rudiger out for DCL. Hang on, mate. Vardy or Kane, Son and Cody or Rudiger out for DCL, Bruno and Maguire for -4. Who are you selling? Well, Kane, if you're happy to go back and you're not bothered about the value, it's fine. Son and Cody or Rudiger out for DCL. I'm not quite sure what you're asking me here, mate. You basically want to smash in Manchester United players. But the thing is, I'm answering this question for you, Edwin, where are you at next week? Because if you've got a free hit next week, that's very different to if you haven't got a free hit, for example. So these questions are going to be quite difficult for me to answer today when I don't know what situation people are necessarily in for next week. Having said that, I'm not quite sure what you're asking with the question anyway. Vardy or Kane, Son, and Cody or Rudiger out for DCL, Bruno and Maguire for a -4. So, I mean, I wouldn't sell Vardy with the double he's got. Cody, you can just bin. Forget that. If that's the question. I was going to say bin Kane and Cody. You'll want Harry back next week, most likely. S. Rosson says, hello, James. Hope you're well. Would you do Son and Holding to Zaha and Dean for a -4? It will be Fernandes to Son in game week 36. And would you start Sanchez or Forster in goal? I'd start Forster and keep fingers crossed and know at worst case scenario, at least you've got Sanchez as backup. I think the worst case scenario for me with Leno and Forster was going to end up in a situation where possibly Forster didn't play at all, or perhaps only played at Liverpool away, or Leno only played at Chelsea away. So I thought it was worth getting a nailed doubler. And if I didn't do it this week, the goalkeeper problem was just going to continue for me. For you on that question, yep, I'd play Forster. You've got Sanchez in reserve. I think that's the best way to go. In terms of the transfers, you're saying you're going to go back Fernandes to Son next week. Yeah, it's okay. It's reasonable. Son hasn't actually scored in an away game since game week 13, believe it or not. But I also look at that and think, well, it's due then. Jeremy Khaled says, good luck, James. Hola Stamos. Hello, James. Few questions from me today. Pickford or Gator till the end of the season? Well, I've gone Gator, so I'm going to have to say that. Any chance Olsen plays some games? Yep, that's part way I've done Gator. Maguire for Fofana or DCL for Watkins or hold it? Hold it. But again, it's a little bit dependent on what kind of situation does that leave you in for next week. Because if you've got no other Leicester players, for example, and you're not struggling to get a team out next week, I'm more inclined to say, yeah, go for it. I wouldn't go DCL in place of Watkins at the moment, personally. Manchester United could pick a very weakened team against Aston Villa on Sunday, although I think they're more likely to change the team up for the Leicester game, personally. So I'm going to say no. Optimus Prime says, hello, Groomwood or Rushford? I have a slight preference for Greenwood, but it's very, very slight. Very, very slight. His numbers when he plays Greenwood look great. He finished last season particularly well. Rashford, we know, is carrying ongoing injury issues, so I've got a slight preference for Greenwood, but I wouldn't have a problem if anyone fancied that the other way around. Lee Jim says, instead of Dean in for -4 this week, would you do a Man United defender in and then Dallas next week, both -4s? Apologies for complexity. Risk-taking needed. Well, if risk-taking is needed, go ahead, my friend. Jonathan Albert says, Ricardo Pereira and Son to Lindelof and Bruno. Cheers, James. And managed to get an FA Cup final ticket. Good, nice. Good luck to you, Jonathan. Well, Ricardo Pereira, according to Sam Martin, posted on Twitter about 3 hours ago, he's likely to be in the Leicester team tonight. One change for them coming in for Luke Thomas at wing-back. So I wouldn't be selling Pereira. Quite straightforward with the information seemingly that he is going to play. Wouldn't sell him. Lindelof is another one. Can't train for a couple of days after he plays. So if he plays at Villa, he almost definitely can't play to the Liverpool game. Is it that good? Versus Pereira's probably got Newcastle and a weakened United. Yes, Bruno over Son. Yes, of course. But again, my kind of stance on this is, if you've got Bruno, great, captain him. But for the majority of people, unless you've got the free hit in 36, it's going to be a pain to get him in and a pain to get him out. And there are other good differential captains this week. Well, players that weren't going to be, like Salah and Iheanacho, who I think probably are. Bruno's captaincy is not going to be off the scale like Harry Kane's was a couple of weeks ago, I don't think. Because I think a lot of people are sitting there going, I'm not sure if it's worth it when he's blanking the week after, and he's possibly only going to play twice. It'd be a surprise. If any Manchester United player starts 3 times, it's going to be a surprise, in my opinion. Bruno is one where it's possible. I think Harry Maguire is another. Dean Henderson is another where it is possible. But genuinely would not be surprised if 22 different players start games of football for Manchester United this week. Edwin Grant says Rushford or Greenwood. Just kind of covered that. Get Lindelof if I can't afford the others. Lindelof I'm not keen on, personally. Lee Jim says, what made you pick Gator and what's your plan for him? Kind of covered. Between him and Pickford for me for a -4. Leno Forster, stinky duo, got to go. Thanks, James. Good luck. I've covered. You probably heard it, my friend. If I cover something and you've already submitted a question, if you can do the courtesy of deleting it, it will save some time for everybody else. Thanks for the question, though, Lee. Rones, good evening, James. Yes, good evening to all our Arsenal followers this evening. Couple of questions. Play one out of Lingard, Holding, Vidra and Konsa. Also between DCL and Watkins, who is the better pick till the end of the season. I prefer DCL because you might land at game week 36 and think, I might stick the captaincy on him actually. So DCL over Watkins for me. And it could well be that I go DCL next week, which seems a bit mad. He's got double this week, but I might buy him next week. I can see him being... My early thoughts for game week 36, as it would stand, would be Vardy to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and then Rudiger or Fofana to Trent as a -4. And that will get me the 11. That's where I'm at in my thinking at the moment. In terms of the players you're saying there, Lingard, Holding, Vidra and Konsa, I think for me. They're all on the bench in dilemma except Vidra. You can kind of place around Chris Wood. So I think, I'm sure you're going to find that Konsa's probably towards the top of that list. I would have thought. He says, checks list. Oh, I've put Target there. Just exchange Target for Konsa. Yeah, Konsa. Pushkar says, can we completely go without Bruno this game week? I'm doing it, mate. As in, is it worth dropping Son Kane to make money for him? I'd have been taking -8s to get Bruno in. I had other issues that were worth sorting out more, in my opinion. So it was a no. Scott Schrager says, Vardy to DCL and Rudiger to Maguire. Vardy, the fact that Leicester game has been brought forward to the Tuesday now, there's far more chance of him playing twice. He's got an amazing fixture tonight. I do not prefer Calvert-Lewin over Vardy for this double, personally. If I was free hitting this week, I'd have Jamie Vardy. I'll tell you a free hit team now if I was doing it. I would go 5-3-2. I'd go Gator in goal. I'd go Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, Robertson, Trent, Joel Ward of Crystal Palace, Salah, Bruno, Zaha, Vardy and Iheanacho up front. That would genuinely be my free hit team. So I'm not into the selling Vardy idea at the moment, personally. Rudiger to Maguire is a free transfer. I get it. I completely get it. Lewis Coles, Reguilon to Dean or Maguire for a hit. I don't mind Reguilon to Dean for a free transfer. The other thing is, again, Lewis, what's the impact to you in 36? Are you going to be taking another hit if you go for Maguire, whereas you're just dealing with free transfers if you go with Dean? You can go for Dean. It's okay. Jeremy Callum, Masuaku to Lindelof -4. As I said, I think Lindelof will play Villa and Liverpool. So in appearance points, he should make it. Clean sheet in either game, it's going to be worth it. So I'm going to say yes. Doesn't look like Masuaku's going to be back for this week. But again, what's your impact for 36? Pushkar says, I'm going in with a bench boost of Areola, Saiss, Veltman and Lookman. Can upgrade 2 for a -4 with 2 million in the bank. Should I? If yes, which 2 would you buy? Yes, I would upgrade. Joel Ward, Crystal Palace. You got 2 million in the bank as well. So you can get Lookman up to just about anyone. Although, to be honest, I'd arguably keep Veltman over Saiss at this stage, actually. Although Brighton's last few... Both Brighton and Wolves' remaining fixtures are shit. Don't fancy Lookman. I owned him for a long time. I'm not keen. I think I fancy Brighton to win this weekend, so a bit more chance of a Veltman clean sheet than Saiss. I'd be looking to go Saiss to possibly Joel Ward. And Lookman... Ward-Prowse, Zaha, whatever's affordable, anything like that. So the answer is yes. Lee says, think Holding keeps his place somewhat for the next couple of game weeks. Probably quite dependent on David Luiz's fitness. We didn't really get much of an update on that. Chambers can obviously fill in for him at centre-back as well. My instinct would be that Holding probably does play both games for Arsenal. You might be better off him just playing West Brom though. Atul says, hello James, nice to see you. Should I be holding or should I sell him for Phillips for a hit? if I should keep Holding, should I play Holding or Antonio? Thank you so much. That's quite a tough one. But I think if you've got a doubler who you think, like I think, actually Holding might be a rare case where I think, yeah, he probably does play twice. Then I think you go with the doubler, don't you? It's not an easy fixture for Antonio this week. I'd fancy him to score in the majority of games. I think he's absolute dynamite. But you go with a doubler, right? He could get -2 against Chelsea on Wednesday, but he might get 15 against West Brom on Sunday night if he scores, right? I'd go Holding for me. Atul says, hello James, nice to see you. Should I be... that's what we've just done, apologies. FTLOL podcast. Evening James, yes, good evening again to all the Arsenal fans. If you were offered a top 4 finish for Tottenham this season in exchange for Chelsea winning the Champions League final, would you take it? Yeah, all day long. I'm a Tottenham fan, not a Chelsea hater. Mark Sharkey76 says, oi James, good luck for the week. You too. FPL Platypus, afternoon James. What combo do you prefer on free hit? Mane and Watkins or Jota and Vardy? We already have Nacho and Castagne, Salah and Trent. Yeah, I understand that. Personally prefer the Jota and Vardy. I think Mane's price is very difficult to justify at the moment. And the other thing I'd like with that combination, although again you might be walking into an extra player that blanks next week, but Vardy next week you can obviously sell for Calvert-Lewin, Antonio, Watkins, Bamford. You can sell him for anyone and just make the choice next week, right? So I like the Vardy combination. James C says, Johnston or Areola? Thanks, James. I'd play Areola. It's got to be more chance for Fulham clean sheet. Full-time talk, who to bench? Firmino or Bale? Thanks. Again, I think you go with a doubler, don't you? Firmino's got a good record in big games as well. Although I feel like I want to say maybe he's never scored against Manchester United. If I've got that wrong, apologies. But he does normally have a good record in big games. I think you go Firmino, wouldn't you, really? You're going to at least get 120 minutes of Firmino. I feel Bale's more likely to start than I did earlier in the week. I'd probably say I'm about 80% now that he starts, Gareth Bale. But I think, yeah, Firmino. There's every chance Firmino will play double the minutes than Bale does, even if Firmino only starts once. Static says, what do you think about Ricardo Pereira to Maguire, Mount to Greenwood, and Vidra to DCL from -4? Thanks for all you do, bud. What I think about that, my friend, is how many players you got blanking next week. If you got a free hit next week, I'm going to say, yeah, sounds great. But what sort of trouble does that put you in for next week? Admittedly, you're losing 2 players in Ricardo Pereira and Mount that also would have been blanking. So I presume it probably leaves you where you are. I don't hate it. Mount's another one who, he's so important to Chelsea, could well play twice. But they've obviously got a very difficult fixture tomorrow. I'm going to say yes. I think the DCL over Vidra probably edges that, so I'm going to say yes. Max says start Lingard or Wood. You know what I'm going to say, didn't you? Got 2 players every single game week. First thing, they're both on the bench in dilemmas. You'll find the answer is Chris Wood. Savant says, what's your thinking with Rudiger, mate? My thinking is I'm holding. My thinking is, truthfully, I think he probably plays tomorrow and doesn't play on Wednesday. And it is what it is. But that's what I've decided. I still think, as I said, I'm backing him for clean sheets potentially in both games. So if you said to me now he plays 1 and he gets a clean sheet, I take that, because say in Reguilon's case, I wouldn't have fancied him to get anything. And the way West Ham changed system on Monday, I think the one person it might not be beneficial for there is Lingard, who I've obviously dropped to the bench. There's more variety of players can score for West Ham now. So less of kind of a talisman perspective there for Jesse Lingard. So I am going to say that's why I've kept Rudiger. Kenneth Vaz, hey James, I have Leno and Forster. Who to play? I would have played Forster, honestly, because I think there's more chance of double. Hassan, who originally said after the game last Friday that Fraser Forster would play the next 2 games to the local press. I wouldn't say he retracted those statements in midweek when he did his presser. But he said, I know who's going to start in goal and I'm not going to tell you. Which is just enough to make you think. I'm pretty sure that Forster plays at Liverpool tomorrow. But I'm not sure that he plays against Palace. In which case it's possibly a disaster shout, isn't it? But I would have gone with Forster if I'd kept the 2. That was what I was planning. Also, Saka to Greenwood for a -4. Yeah, I can see the idea behind that. Or Cody to Maguire for a -4. And Bruno, I prefer Maguire, to be honest. Lombo Neto, yo baby, how are you? I'm alright, baby. How are you? Daniel McAdams. Hey, James. Alonso and Son for Mitchell and Salah. Well, we did clash the correspondence. We released this morning with Big Tavis, our Crystal Palace correspondent, and he thinks that Patrick Van Aanholt will probably come back into the team for Tyreek Mitchell, and it's a case of didn't want PVA to play against Man City because Mitchell's better defensively. He thinks with these two fixtures, there's every chance Van Aanholt will come back in. So I have to say no to that. Chris Pointer says, hi James, Son or Jota, cheers. To start, to buy. I mean, if you're buying now, it would be Jota. Start, you're still going Jota over Son, aren't you, this week, I think. You've got one hell of a team if you're benching a Liverpool player. It's obviously highly likely that Jota probably only starts to one game, but we've shown in the past he can score off the bench and that, so Jota for me. You're very welcome, Mac, no problem. Savanch says, Diaz a hold or a sell? It's a sell, I think, in most cases. Sean Buckley, who to lose, Kane or Son? If you have to lose one, lose Sonny, mate. That's my advice. Jamie Williams, if your little boy Harry goes on to play in the Premier League but a move to Spurs never materialises, who would you have him play for? Whoever's paying him the most money. Not Arsenal. This is something I've never really thought about. You kind of asked me my second favourite football team. I'd like him to play for someone that's quite local. So, Premier League. In London, I don't mind Palace. They're inoffensive. He can go and play for Palace. Ritwick says, James, JWP, Ward, Alexander-Arnold, which two to play? Ooh, that's quite a tough one. I think in that situation, very reluctantly, you're benching Ward, mate. I think you'll find both of those two, JWP and Ward, right near the benching dilemmas. Trent is obviously not on there because you wouldn't be leaving him out. So I think reluctantly, you'd be leaving Ward out. Lamichi says, hi, James. Would you bench boost with Forster holding Lingard Vidra? 1 free transfer holding to Ward or Lingard to JWP or both with a -4? Well, I'd ask you, if you do both, do you think your bench boost can get you 20 points? I honestly, in that position, I would be keener, if it's affordable, which I'm going to guess it's probably not, to find a goalkeeper solution for 4-star. I doubt there's a way around that, to be honest. There's probably not. But I'm going to say yes. Go for it, mate. You're unlikely to get a better scenario now than a bench boost. The other beauty of, and it's always the case in terms of benching a double game week, your actual bench is far more likely to stay as a bench. There's not many of us who are going to lose players from our first 11 this week. Unless Bruno suddenly picks up an injury in training on Saturday. Imagine. Pushkar says, El Ghazi or JWP, the better double game week and game week 36 pick. I think between the two, it has to be JWP, purely on the basis that Grealish is apparently resuming training tomorrow. Definitely won't play on Sunday. Would make him doubtful for Thursday, but I guess by the time next Sunday comes around away to Palace, there's a good chance to be back in that team, won't there? So it has to be JWP, who, by the way, is the 6th highest scoring midfielder in FPL this season. Brilliant. 14 attacking returns, I believe. Vivek Gore says, is Man United defence really essential? Is it a trap due to tough fixtures and successful matches? Vivek, you should know me, mate. There's nothing in my life that's essential, mate, other than my kid. There definitely ain't anything essential in FPL, mate. Eshan says, Salah in for Son and DCL in for Kane for 2 free transfers. Free hit next week, okay. Or Salah for Son and Jota to 4.1 million midfielder and play Lingard. Thanks. Son and Jota to 4. Yeah, you can play Lingard this week. It's fine. To be honest, at 2 o'clock this afternoon, I was going to play Lingard this week. I didn't have much of a problem with it. It was more of a case that I wasn't that bothered about having Reggie for next week and stuff, actually. So, yeah, you can play Lingard. It's fine. Just got to think as well, if you sell Kane, you're going to want him for 37 for Villa at home. It's very difficult to say until you know. You could look at it now and you go Salah away to Burnley. But if Salah plays Southampton, Man United and West Brom before Burnley in 37, you're going to have concerns, aren't you? United at home to Fulham. You would think Bruno, if you still got, will do you the trick. Absolutely. Obviously be very popular. But then Fulham don't concede shitloads. I mean, I'd prefer Kane versus Villa, ironically, than Bruno versus Fulham, to be honest. So, just consider that, that's all. Max says, Start which four from Son, Bell, Kane, Wood, Lingard. I'm leaving Lingard out there, mate. Downstairs, hey James, got 2 FTs. Thinking of Vardy, Phillips, Loris out. Have I missed something on Jamie Vardy? DCL, TAA, Meslier. It's got to be the money. DCL, TAA, and Meslier for -4. I'd play Leno this week. Would captain Fernandes. Other United necessary. Cheers, pal. Other United's not necessary. We can't look forward and know what's going to happen into the future. Loris, go. But I'd rather get a double game week keeper. Can you go for Gator or Pickford? To be honest, I'd rather that. And I'm also, as I said, I'm not keen on selling Vardy. We'll take -4 that includes getting a goalkeeper who's got a single in a massive double. I don't think you really do. I don't hate it, but I'm not keen on that. You're also forcing in Trent, which I get why you want to do that. I wanted to get Trent in, and I'm likely to get Trent next week, but don't think force it, to be honest. I've still got Man United on Thursday. Tanmay says, hey James, do you think Rudiger will play twice? In a word, no. Savant says, Cody to Lindelof and then play him over Rudiger. I mean, you'd have to, wouldn't you? Listen, you're not going to get a Manchester United player in and leave him on the bench, whoever it is, are you? So, I mean, Cody, anything Wolves you've got, just bin. It's fine. Take hits to get rid of Wolves players, as far as I'm concerned. Victor Sandberg, -8 to replace Leno, Semedo and Rudiger with Dean, Ward and McCarthy. Got Forster, which would provide me 100% coverage. If it doesn't provide you 100% coverage if they play once each this week, I did think of that myself. At least it solves the problem for the rest of the season. I get that. But you might still pick the goalkeeper that plays one this week. I'll tell you what I would do with that. If you were going to do that, I'd put McCarthy in goal. Because as I said, I think Forster will play at Liverpool tomorrow. I'm just less convinced about Tuesday. Yeah, you can go for it, mate. Bloomer says, hi, did you enter the rabbit hole of Maguire? Yes, my team's on the screen, my friend. Ritwick, Foster or McCarthy, which goalkeeper to play? Just covered. GK16, hi James, how do you feel about Chelsea defenders this week and possible rotation for the cup final? I think there's certain ones who definitely don't play twice, I would have thought, so like Thiago Silva. He's almost certainly, not many people have got him. As Azpilicueta, Rudiger, there's obviously a possibility they could play twice. Rudiger and Azpilicueta play nearly all the games. Could they play all 3 games this week? Yeah, they could. I don't particularly think they will, if that's part of the question. FPL Warrior have Kane, Nacho and Bamford up front. Is it worth taking a -8 to get in Watkins or DCL for Bamford? My opinion would be no. Think as well, look at Bamford's last 3. Leeds have probably got the best last 3 fixtures. I could go to Bamford next week. So I talk about who you're going to sell for Vardy. Bamford, Calvert-Lewin, Watkins, Antonio. Super options next week to go for in terms of forwards. Kev KJ, James, you fucking legend. Thanks for doing this. Pleasure, mate. Enjoy it. Ben M. 1-3. I've got Vardy, Iheanacho for Salah, Jota and Trent, plus Kane and Son. Bloody, thanks for listing everyone. Roll a transfer or go Jota or Son to Greenwood to have a -4 next week, or Vardy to DCL and Son to Bruno. You're happy what you got, mate. I'll be rolling. Don't fret about having to have the Manchester United players. If you're unsure, don't bother. FPL telling Josh, afternoon James, what's your thoughts on Nat Phillips for the double game week and West Brom 36? Does he play all 3 in your opinion? My opinion would be yes, as long as he stays fit. Alistair Copar, hi James, trying to decide between Dean, Greenwood, DCL -4 and Ward, Lingard, Kane. What do you think? I can get Kane back next week for -4 if need be, thanks. I don't mind the idea of selling Kane this week and getting him back next week. Because the value that most of us have probably built up in him, does it really matter? If he's affordable with 3 games to go, it's affordable. Don't worry about the value. That's kind of what you built the value up, is for something like that. Can you dish him to bring him back and stuff? I don't mind that. Moving him on for this week. And I looked at that, leaving the money to be able to go Vardy to Kane next week. But the conclusion I came for was that there was definitely going to be other forwards that I wanted to go to next week. And I'd rather have the actual extra week of information before deciding which one of those forwards I mentioned I'd go for next week. So I don't mind you selling Kane. Don't mind it. Edwin Guan, Son and Rudiger or Cody out for Greenwood and Maguire? Son and Rudiger or Cody out for Greenwood and Maguire. So you want to sell Son for Greenwood, understand that. Rudiger or Cody out. Well, it's got to be Cody out, isn't it, for Maguire? Carl Winfield, hi James, have been looking at a -4 to bring in Gator, Dean and El Ghazi for Leno, Rudiger and Bowen. Thoughts? I'll be bench boosting with Forster, Target, Lingard and Holding. When you're bench boosting, you want to clarify the problems in your team, and Jared Bowen has quite surprisingly just become one for you. So I'm in support of that, Kyle. Toenail says Son and Kane to DCL and Bruno captain. Going to reverse Bruno back to Son next week to get 11 players out. Yes, fine. If it's straightforward and it's free transfers and then it's free transfer to move on next week, seems reasonable. You're in a fine position. Sage says bench Kane or Lingard. One of the patrons on our Slack channel said earlier, James, are you going to put Kane in the benching dilemma screen today? There isn't. If Kane had Man City away this week, I think I'd still play him. Never leave him out, as far as I'm concerned. Man, I just asked you, could Harry Kane get a hat-trick at Leeds tomorrow? And I know that's extremely unlikely, but could he? The answer's yes, isn't it? No, never believe in Harry Kane out, honestly. Andre Traore, what's up, dude? What you ate for evening tea? I haven't ate yet. The wife and the boy are out till about 8 o'clock. So I'm treating myself to a takeaway when this stream ends. Happily take suggestions if you want, guys. Mansour Ali says, should I transfer? I don't do spice. Mansour Ali says, should I transfer out Rudiger for Maguire or transfer out Son for Greenwood? I mean, I very nearly went Rudiger to Maguire for myself, so that's what I'm going to advise. Darshall says, hello, James. Would you be fine to take out Son and Bamford for the rest of the season? Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Son, the thing is with Son, right? He's finally pushed past his 200-point barrier, which in previous years he'd been so unlucky not to hit because of injuries and minutes played, etc. If you look at his points per minute over the last few seasons, he is in excess of a 200-point player, and his price is still brilliant value. If you don't fancy him in those, Wolves at home, Villa at home. I mean, that was the choice I made. Do I want to get rid of him? For me, it was a no. Can you go without him? Yeah, of course. But as I said as well with Bamford, Leeds probably got the best last 3 fixtures. Owen Walsh. Anyway, James, good luck this weekend. Is there anything tactically, positionally you see in Liverpool's upcoming fixtures that would indicate which would be the best choice between TAA and Robbo? Thanks, man. Yes, Southampton haven't got a left back at the moment. Quite straightforward, isn't it? Parv Shah says Rudiger to Dean, Kane to DCL, and Traore to Jota for a -4. I don't hate it. Traore's got to go. It doesn't even matter which one it is. I don't think I wouldn't want Bertrand Traore hanging about this week just because he had a double. He did play well at Goodison last week, I must say. TJ Powell says, hello. Start again. Hey, James. Is Cody to Shaw Maguire from -4 okay this week? Yes, it is. Got the bench cover for next week too, but plans to take another -4 next week for goalkeeper forward. Yeah, it's fine, mate. It's fine. Kev KJ, play 4-4-2 with Conser this week and Vardy, or take a hit and instead play DCL and Greenwood in a 3-5-2. You're okay as you are as far as I'm concerned. Sage says next week Rudiger and Nacho replacements. Ian Nacho, I've been through loads of replacements. Rudiger from next week. I mean, if you haven't got Stuart Dallas, that's the one that's probably going to tempt you. Perhaps Aaron Cresswell might come back on your radar next week. Possibly Luca Dean. I know it's a week late, maybe. Liverpool players, if you haven't got treble Liverpool, it's possible. Possibly even a Newcastle player. I know they got Man City. They've got good last two, Sheffield United, Fulham. Fulham themselves, maybe even. But I think Dallas, if you haven't got, is the one that will be really popular next week. Alistair Coper, would you start Mendy or Martinez? I checked the bench dilemmas, but I don't think it's there. It's not, my friend. The answer to your question is I would go with Mendy. Eshan says, why is Target ahead of Rudiger in benching dilemma even though you have predicted a Chelsea clean sheet? It's a very good question, Eshan, and I can simply answer that for you by saying I don't think Rudiger plays twice. I think he plays once. And let's be honest, I'm backing them for a clean sheet at Manchester City, which has a little bit of wildness about it in itself. So there's every chance. I mean, I think United will pick a strong team against Villa, but there's others think United will pick a very weak team against Villa. I'm always going to pick the player that I definitely think plays twice. So that's the explanation. Alejandro Perez says, hey James, what are your thoughts on using my bench boost this week? I have Areola, Son, Dallas and Lingard on the bench. I say you're not going to get it better than that, mate. Go for it. Joe Finney Badder, have 9 of the 10 top captain picks on my free hit. Good luck, James. Well done, mate. Which one you missing, Joe? I'm going to take a guess. It's got to be a United player. I'm going to guess you're missing... I'm going to say Rashford. I think you're missing Rashford. Javier Alcantara, did you Unai Emery say good evening, guys? No, I pronounced it correctly. Again, obviously for the Arsenal fans on stream, I'd like to say good evening again. Welcome to the stream. Javier Alcantara, that's what we just done. Jamie Burton, evening James. Conser are holding this week. Conser again, the reliability of the definite 2 games. Cyrus Bernard, yes James. We are, by the way guys, about 24 25 minutes till deadline. Start making those final decisions in your mind. Stian Bosdale, did the captain make the font smaller? I can barely read it. Some of us pushing 40, mate, have some sympathy. I'm also pushing nearly 40, mate. I can see it. You got some long-ass names in there, haven't you? Greenwood, Calvert-Lewin, Alexander-Arnold. Did he make it smaller? I don't think so. I can ask him to make it bigger. I think it's the same as every other week. FPL fan show, like guys. Think I might have to go without Fernandes too. Terrifying. He's not. He's all right. Listen, there's every chance he'll go big and go mental. Of course. But imagine the bravery of going against it and it works as well. It can go both ways. I'm looking at it and going, I don't think he starts 3 games. And the second game's likely to be Liverpool. I mean, is that better than Liverpool in the first instance, in my opinion? If you got Bruno, as I said, I'd definitely captain him. But in terms of buying him, as I said, for me it was going to take at least a -4. I'd have had to make different transfers. Or, with the movements I've already done, it would have had to be a -8. And it probably would have meant removing Son. So I'd have been taking another hit to then change that back next week. When straight in front of our faces, Mohamed Salah's had a week break. And he's playing against a team that's conceded 40 goals in the last 17 games. They've been by far the worst team defensively, Southampton, in 2021. Way worse than Sheffield United. Even if you take out the 9-0 to Manchester United, they still conceded 31 in 16. That's nearly 2 a game. And then he could walk into United, who might be fucked and knackered if they do continue to pick strong players. And I think Iheanacho's got a great fixture tonight as well. And he may play a weakened United on Tuesday. So I really think there's some good shouts this week outside of United. It's crazy. But it's the 3 games in 5 days. If United were playing tonight, Monday and Thursday, I'd have been taking hits all over the place to get 3 Manchester United players. You'd have had to. It would have been worth it. But with the way the fixtures are gone, nah. We can definitely go without. And of course, he's the best option and he could go off. But that's like any week, isn't it? That he could be the best option. Ricky Saunders, my Tottenham correspondent. Hello, fella. No question, just popping in to say hi and good luck. Good man. I will speak to you before game week 38. Ricky will be joining us with Aaron Lager before Leicester and Tottenham ahead of game week 38. Might even be on a Saturday. I'm going full 7-dayers, I think, for the final week of the season with content. Include 2 deadline streams that week as well. Nick Watson, afternoon James, hope all is well. I fluked Bruno to bail and captained him last week. We didn't fluke it, mate. You pressed the right buttons. Sometimes you catch a break. Anyway, who would you bench out of Kane and Jota this week? It's not an easy one. Yes, it is. Do you think Jota's going to play twice? I'm not leaving Harry Kane out. I don't care. I don't care. Honestly, play Harry Kane. Farzid Ali, start Lingard or Rudiger? For me, Rudiger, because there is the potential there for the 2 games. Milan the villain. Hi James, Son and Vidra out. Zaha and DCL in -4. I don't mind that. Or Alonso and Son out. Dean and Zaha in -4. Cheers and enjoy the weekend. I think I prefer that because I guess there's a chance Alonso plays against Arsenal. He'd be very surprised if Alonso plays against Man City tomorrow. Mihir says, play El Ghazi over Kane or bench the double game. We can play Kane. Play Kane. Tiffy Ferreira, Harry Maguire equals 40 points this week. Imagine triple captain. It'd be 120. Amazing. Sheeda says, holding to Godfrey Coleman or Smith Rowe to El Ghazi. Definitely prefer Smith Rowe to El Ghazi. Just make sure you've got contingencies for 36 if Grealish is back. Godfrey easily could be rotated for Everton. I really don't think much of their week. Holgate could cover Coleman at right back. Not keen on that. The only Everton player I would consider in this week is Luca Dean. G. Shet the third. Thoughts on Aubameyang as a 1-week punt? Exactly that, a 1-week punt. He probably plays against West Brom, which makes him interesting. I guess if his fitness after that's okay, he could play again against Chelsea. But what are you costing yourself by going for that? Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. And he blanks next week as well. If you were brave enough to stick the armband on him, I'd say great, if that's what you want to do. But imagine this. Imagine I said to you pre-season, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is going to have a double game week. and he won't even be in the top 10 on the captaincy list. Imagine I'd said that to you pre-season. Not for me. And I do think Arsenal will probably do well on Sunday, but I think it'd be a heavily rotated team. I would not be surprised if Nketiah played up front against West Brom. They've been forcing Aubameyang, I think. The Newcastle games, they didn't have alternative options. Thursday night, I mean, what was that about Arteta taking him off last night? He's clearly not at 100%. I think you'd have to say there's a possibility he doesn't start against West Brom, so it's a no from me. FPL Finding Glory, Evening James, -4 to get 3 doubles for a bench boost. Is El Ghazi a risk though? He's a risk. I think he'll probably be okay. And there's a certain upside in El Ghazi, the main being that he's such a greedy bastard, he doesn't do anything but shoot. But he's very capable when he does, and he's probably on the pens. So I don't mind it. And look, it's 5.2. If it doesn't work out, you can leave him on the bench in the majority of future game weeks. I don't mind it. I think if you're looking to go for bench boost, there's going to be some risks. You ain't going to have 15 players with no risks. But I say yes, go for it, mate. Jarav says, Iheanacho or Salah for captain. There's a big clue on the screen, bottom right hand corner. There's also a clue with my team on top right on the screen. There's also a clue in the things I've been saying. Frank Sherman, hey mate, what is the rationale for Target over Saka? Good luck this week. I'd be very surprised if Saka played twice. And I think the game that Saka will play is Chelsea away. That's the rationale. Jay Barker says, good evening, James, and good evening again to our Arsenal followers this evening. Start Saka or Lingard. Thanks and good luck. It's Saka because he could play twice. It's simple as that. So that's why. Saka will definitely play once. And he'll probably play as a substitute in the other. So, yeah, Saka. Rishi says, hi James, thanks for the bell tip. I have Bruno and Shaw at the moment. Who would I get out of Maguire and Greenwood, or should I forget both and bring in Zaha as the 1 FT? Can I tell you honestly, the only 2 Manchester United players that I was... Once the manoeuvres for Fernandes were going to be too difficult, and I weighed that up on Wednesday when the fixtures were announced, I was like, I'm not doing that. Not even give it much more thought. The only 2 United players I've really considered are Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Therefore, it's going to be Maguire. Ryan says, I had to make a decision right now between Zaha and DCL. What do you say? Well, he's selling. Preference is Zaha. I mean, you can see that on the bench. I'd prefer to captain Zaha than DCL this week. Kushal says, triple captain Salah. Yeah, I don't mind that. Listen, if you've got the triple captaincy left, you should be using it this week. It's quite straightforward. Joachim says, hi James, I'm going for Wan-Bissaka on free hit. My reasoning being that his replacement at the back is most likely shaky, and I can see Ollie starting Bailly and Lindelof together for one of the games. Thoughts? I don't quite understand the reason. I mean, I think Brandon Williams will probably play the Leicester game at right back. That's my expectation. Wan-Bissaka probably plays Villa and Manchester United. That would be my expectation. But Wan-Bissaka probably falls... If there was a surprise one that was going to play 3 times this week and you thought I didn't see that coming, I would bet it would be Wan-Bissaka. Craig Gardner says, thoughts on -8 Kane. I'm already not liking it. Rafinha, Jota, Lingard out. For DCL, Fernandes captain, Greenwood or Pogba and Zaha, wildcard to play next week. So you need the immediate returns on that. Well, Kane, I think, will score tomorrow. Rafinha, I think, is now going to play. So let's put them on 8. Jota's got a double. If he plays tomorrow, I think he scores. Although I do think it'll probably be a sub. All right, let's say only gets 3. 11-pointer. Let's say Lingard, I think, is 3-pointer as well. It's 14 points. You need more than 22 points from DCL, Fernandes, captain, Greenwood and Zaha. I think you're going to look at that and say, yeah, I think I've got it. They do need to do the business. You'll certainly need Fernandes to do well as captain. I am going to rarely say, the way I explained it like that, it's probably worth it. Conor Irvine, play 1, Rudiger and Antonio. I would, again, go Rudiger, but I would be so loath to leave Antonio out, honestly. I think that's quite a tough one. But I probably would go Rudiger. Nightmare that. I'll go Rudiger. Edwin Grand, sorry for accusing you of my question, James. You're fine, mate. You're good, pal. It's because you're always in so early in the questions. Ollie says, Salah, best captain. Question. Bruno, captain, overrated. 2 games for him as well. You've answered it. Eshan, Cavani to DCL and Greenwood for Son or Kane, and Son to Salah and DCL. Bloody hell. Cavani to DCL and Greenwood for Son, or Kane and Son to Salah and DCL. I prefer the Kane and Son actually, but there's a good chance you're going to hokey cokey some of that next week, and you have to bear that in mind. What you're doing there, you might struggle to go back to Kane, but otherwise, yeah, prefer that, I think. Muslim says Ward-Prowse or El Ghazi for Rafinha. For me, Ward-Prowse, personally. Vabav, who to start, Holding or Rudiger? Checks notes, Rudiger. I have 2 frees, so we'll spend 1 on replacing Holding Rudiger. Someone placing 36, so yeah. Simon says Dean, Jota or Robertson, Ward-Prowse. As a combination, I actually probably prefer Robertson, Ward-Prowse on that, actually. Swizz says, about 12-13 minutes deadline, guys. Swizz says, hi, James. I can probably tell you now, I'm not going to get to your questions now, guys, but thanks for posting in any case. Swizz says, hi, James, for a 1-week punt, wildcard in 36, Zaha, Sigurdsson, plus Benteke or El Ghazi. What year is this? Plus DCL to Watkins, question. Tempted by a Palace pair to attack fixtures, but a bit worried after Hodgson's comments about rotation. I didn't even see them, to be honest. I wouldn't be buying Christian Benteke. I know he's got 2 great fixtures. I saw FPL reviews really into the stats models and stuff. They'd have Benteke on their stat model in a free hit team this week. It's not for me, that. That's purely because of the opposition. Now, Zaha, great pick this week in my opinion. Sigurdsson, no, not for me. FPL Fan Show, are we mental for not owning Bruno? You should know, my friend, there is no mental, mate. It's called decision making. Colin Con, the rum is good. Cheers for all the great content. Be nice people and hit the like button. I have done Kanan holding to TA and DCL. Do your worst. Good luck, mate, is all I've got to say to that. Yes, if you're enjoying the stream, guys, do hit the like button. We're not many subscribers off 5,000 as well. It'd be great to hit that certainly before the end of the season. Lincoln Beggs, hey James, how are ya? Very good, thank you. Dallas to Shaw for a free. Seems quite straightforward, but as said previously, Leeds last 3 is very good. Just give that a second thought what the implication for that is for next week and beyond. Nigel Sam, hi James, if you could pick one till the end of the season, would it be Greenwood or Rashford? Greenwood. Because Rashford is carrying ongoing issues. And he could break down at any point. So Greenwood. And I'm saving a couple of million as well. Vasse says, already have 3 Man United, 3 Liverpool. Would you bring in DCL and El Ghazi for -4? Or keep Bamford and bring Sigurdsson in for 3? I think I'd take the -4 actually. Not keen on Sigurdsson. We talked about him a lot on COTC last week. It was a bit of nostalgic. But I think James being out is not particularly helpful for that. Karim Karaz, Robertson and Zaha or Nat Phillips and Rashford. Definitely Robertson and Zaha for me. Cyrus, to be honest, I prefer Phillips and Zaha rather than Phillips and Rashford. Cyrus Bernard, Watkins, Antonio, or other similar price players to end the season. Well, I think you're going to buy the doubler, aren't you? And I think right now, if I had to buy a forward right now this week, it'd be Calvert-Lewin. And it's not because of this week. It's because he's potentially a brilliant captaincy option next week. That's why I would go Calvert-Lewin if I had to buy one today. If I suddenly found out I got a leak, all Jamie Vardy's out for 3 weeks, I would take a -4 now for Calvert-Lewin. Nerd says Zaha or TAA. Who do I prioritise bringing in? It's a good question. For me, Zaha, I think. I really wanted to get him again this week, but I had to deal with the defensive issues that I had and stuff. And Rafinha's return to training kind of knocked it on the head for me, really. Hola Stamos, thanks for answers. Sorry for question about Pickford or Gator. You're good. Just when I sended you started telling you had some doubt for your team. Good luck, no problems. Nerd, thoughts on really good this week. Removing him from Maguire from -4. I very nearly removed him for 3. From -4. I mean, I know I've backed Chelsea for 2 clean sheets. There's every chance, if the games go the way I've predicted, it's possible that Rudiger could outscore Maguire this week. But that's quite unlikely. I think, yeah, you're probably worth it. Again, just caution for next week. Alden Björk says, evening, James. El Ghazi, Siggy or JWP for the rest of the season? JWP for me, definitely. Jamal Brown, hey, James. Smith Rowe, Bamford or Lingard? Pick 2 to start. That's an interesting one. Smith Rowe's one I'd look at and go, he's definitely not starting twice. And I think I'd go Bamford. I fancy a Desmond Leeds Tottenham tomorrow. And I did kind of do the predictions with the patrons this morning before I'd seen Phillips Rafinha available. I think Leeds might beat us tomorrow. Actually, I would probably go Bamford and Lingard. You know, yeah, I think I would. The thing is with Smith Rowe as well is, yeah, he's playing twice. He's basically no returns in there at the moment, is there? Am I right in saying he hasn't scored a Premier League goal yet? Kushal, triple captain Salah, if that's what you want to do, mate. FPL talking points. I somehow still have bench boost and triple captain. What the fuck? Which to use for this week? Well, depends what's on your bench, and there's no point putting it in the chat now because I'm not going to get to it. How strong is your bench? That's probably your key point. Can you get better benches in the other weeks? I doubt it. If you don't use triple captaincy this week, then when? You need to ask yourself those questions. I haven't got your team in front of me. I would have thought, because of the treble, it's probably triple captaincy this week, to be honest. Marcus P, most people don't look at the blank next week, though, when choosing a captain. You shouldn't look at the blank next week if you're choosing a captain for this week, but you might want to factor it into your thinking when your transfers and stuff. Hans Petter Forstenson, hello James, play Mendy or Forster, Mount or Son. Mendy, definitely, and I probably would go Mount over Son, actually. Mount's about 7th or 8th FPL midfielders this year, not bad either. Yeah, I think I'd go Mount. Eamon says, hi James, what do you think about Mount as a punt on free hits? Not keen. Tough fixtures, but proven he can score in big games. Good form plus set pieces. Couldn't justify him ahead of Zaha this week on a free hit. Not for me. Anthony Lee, hi James, Bell to Pogba for free. Not keen personally. Pogba definitely will not play 3 games. Absolute certainty. But could well get you 180, 210. Yeah, I don't mind it. Go on. Knock yourself out. Dixie Normaz, I'm going Cavani captain. He can score a brace in 20 minutes a game. He's worth the risk. Okay. Crollo, Vardy, Son, Rudiger out for DCL. Bruno Maguire for a hit in total. Can field 11 with a hit next week too. We'll stick with Vardy and Maguire, but no Bruno. Stick with Vardy and Maguire. Alan says, hi James, what do you think about Zaha versus Greenwood? Thanks. Zaha for me. AC7, hi James, I made my free transfer earlier this week. Schoolboy, yep, you know it. Would you take a -8, Son and Diaz for Salah and Phillips? No. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't. Afsel, Zaha or Maguire? To just get one in this week, Maguire. Got the free. If it's straightforward, as simple as that, Maguire. He matches says, hey James, after listening to the COTCs, McCarthy, AML, Ainsley Maitland, is that Ainsley? Who's AML? Fuck's AML. Tierney to Forster, Maguire, Lindo for -8, worth it. Exact amount. Have bench boost to play. Yeah, live a little if you're going for the bench boost and stuff. Who's AML? Nicola Torco, it's going to come back and haunt me, I think. Nicola Torco, hi James, hope you're doing well. What is your take on Everton defenders? Not Keane, Dean or no one. I'm looking at Cody to Keane and therefore keep Rudiger as he has double in 35, blanks in 36. Have a great evening, mate. Michael Keane hasn't been picked in Everton's last 2. He was available again last week. He probably is in Everton's best 11, but then why didn't he come back in having had a little break last week? Perhaps last week's performance against Villa might influence him coming back in. I'm not keen on them. Everton's double is away to West Ham. I know a lot of people harp on about Everton's away record. West Ham have got the second best home record in the league this season, and Villa just took the piss out of them last week. So I'm not in agreement. I've seen a lot of people say Everton got a great double. Have they? I'm not convinced that they do. Nicola Torco, hi James, hope you just did that. Denver CPT 786. Evening James, what's the most hits you've ever taken for a game week? Love the streams, thanks for the help. I would have said -8. I don't think I've ever taken a -12. I've definitely taken -8s before. Definitely. In fact, I took a -8. The best one I did, I took a -8 not final day of the season, game week 38. Obviously, last day of the season, you prat. 2019. It was Trent, definitely. I think it was Trent, Mane and Aubameyang. And they all went off. I mean, Trent assisted 2 goals for Mane and Aubameyang scored twice as well. And the actual -8, I mean, got me like an extra net 20 to 25 points or so. But I generally wouldn't do that. I was kind of at the end of the season. I wanted to have some fun on the final day. So I don't think I've ever done more than a -8. Albus 89, best goalkeeper for the run-in. Meslier, if I can afford to play Forster this week. Gator or Pickford. If I'd have been buying a goalkeeper next week, definitely would be Meslier. If you're going now, though, you do want a double game week goalkeeper, and I've gone Gator. Dylan Farrell, hi James, best of luck this game week. What do you think of managers using the last home game to give certain players a swan song, the likes of Aguero, Cavani, PVA? Will this impact your thinking? Ask me when I get there, because you're suddenly looking at 1 week punts and stuff, aren't you? So it doesn't impact my thinking at the moment. If I'm likely to have a front three at the end, which I can see me going like sort of Vardy to probably Calvert-Lewin next week, and then Iheanacho to Antonio in 37, nothing's going to impact me there, is it? Could I then go Kane to Aguero in 38? Yeah, quite possibly, mate. But I'll deal with that when we get there. Anthony Lee, when would you use your triple captainship? I would have used it in game week 26 personally. If you've got it, it's now. Elisa says, is the best 5.6 striker for this week? I'm on a bench boost, 5.6 or lower. It does have to be Benteke, I'm afraid. Jigs John, make sure you get your teams locked in, guys. I think we're about 3 minutes out from deadline. Hi James, Vidra, Reece James to DCL Coleman. Question, can't afford Dean. This move is from -4 already bought in Greenwood. Could do either Coleman or Ward, who is likely to get at least one clean sheet. Ward. I'd go Ward, honestly. Richard Amo, Lingard to Zaha. If it's for free, don't see why not. Pistolero, Maddison and Vidra to El Ghazi and DCL means bench Lingard. Or Maddison to Zaha and start Lingard. It sounds to me like trying to force DCL in, but I get you probably don't want Vidra as part of your team this week as well. You're not bench Vidra. Is there another other solution to that? I think Maddison could have a good game week personally. Not Kane. Personally. If I had Maddison, I'd want to keep him this week. Telling me Shaw or Maguire? Maguire for me. FPL bus team. Hi James, I have Diaz. Thinking of a -4 for Maguire. Maybe. Worth it? Question. Probably yes. Diaz might not even play, right? It's a possibility. Doing Mendy to Meslier next game week, so we'd have 10 players with a game in 36 doing this. You're fine, mate. Yeah, crack on. Josh Riddle, Kane, Son, Gundogan to Bruno, Rashford, DCL, -8. Why not? Because I don't particularly like it, mate, but good luck. Simon says, Trent, Robbo, double defence or Salah, Jota, double attack. Choosing from straight now. I mean, if I was free hitting this week, I'd go Trent, Robbo. Definitely with Salah. I think that's the best combo now, personally. Doesn't mean anyone should get rid of Jota. Still a great little asset. And I'd have to force different things. Not worth it. But I think if I didn't have any Liverpool players now, Jota would be 4th on the list. I'd be looking Trent, Robbo first. In fact, I'd be 5th. So I'd be looking at Phillips probably more as well. Swizz says, do you reckon Veltman's award for a -4 is worth it for a pure 1 week punt? I am going to answer the question for that. And I'm going to say yes. I'm going to predict now you will make an extra 2 points out of that. Stian Bostel, 400 watching. Like the stream. Cheers, Stian. Daniel Pedersen, hi James. Which two would you bench of Lingard, Kane or Target? Well, I ain't benching Harry Kane, mate. Edwin Guan, Greenwood or Zaha in for Son? Zaha. Dion Chung, thoughts on a double Palace defence plus Benteke? Gator and Ward would be the only ones of interest to me. Benteke, I can't be having it. The Flying Dutchman, thoughts on Wood-Prowse this week? Great shout. Honestly, going under the radar for me. Dylan Farrell, good man, Stian. Like the stream, everyone. Kartik, Greenwood or Zaha? Zaha. You don't need capital letters, my friend. Kartik Rao, Fafana, Holding. Out for Dean and Phillips to cover blank game week. Yes. Yes, go for it. Shank Deep Daz, will Martial start at least 2 games? He's not fit, is he? I've not heard that he's back available. As far as I know, he's injured. Rabin says, why Salah over Greenwood in captaincy picks? I think we've done this one. Thanks for your question. Cyrus Bernard, I changed captain from Rashford to Salah. I make it probably deadline now, guys. Thank you very much for your questions, guys. Sorry, apologies for those I didn't get to. Very busy this week. Really nice to see sort of heading towards 500 of you in here. Thank you very much. I will hang around for 10-15 minutes or so. Jump to the end of the questions. If anybody has any non-FPL questions, I'm happy to cover them. Apologies, Poseidon. There's a pinned tweet at the top that says, shit, sorry, I'll answer these in question. In order. Very busy this week. I wish you all very, very best of luck. As I said, if anybody's got any non-FPL questions, happy to cover them for a little bit. For the rest of you, you're only here for the FPL. Have a great week. It's a long one. Enjoy yourself. Don't panic if it goes wrong tonight. There's another 6 days to go. Enjoy yourselves. Good luck, everyone. But for the rest of you, right, let's get into some non-FPL questions. Stian Bosdale, non-FPL as per usual. Favourite reality show? I'm a sucker for the ones where the dudes plan a wedding for the ladies. Car crash TV. Jesus. I'll tell you what I didn't mind, which you'd probably be surprised about. When I lived with my ex, going back to the late noughties, I didn't mind Jersey Shore, actually. Because at the time, and I loved it. Hey, cabs are here. It was car crash. At the time, it was the first thing that kind of felt like that. Now you've got fucking loads of copycats and stuff, and it's like, get over it. That's probably the one that I'd say would probably surprise people. Would be Jersey Shore. Was alright. And when I was a kid, I probably watched the first few years of Big Brother, if I'm being honest. That probably applies to a lot of people. Same thing, you're like, I've seen this now. Other than that, what was the Wayne Rooney search for a striker? Was that reality TV? I don't know if that counts or not. Atul says Ainsley Maitland-Limes. AML. Who's AML? That's all I could think of was Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Who is AML? That's attacking midfielder left. What does it mean? Static says non-FPL question. Takeaway idea. Dixie. Ooh. The problem is, right, I'm going to be eating for myself. I get a KFC, I'll pig out, right? I ain't going anywhere to get something. I get fucking Uber Eats to bring me something. Dixie, nah. KFC, yeah, fine. But what am I going to do? I'll pay like 4 or 5 quid's worth of food and get it delivered for myself. I might as well at least get something nice, don't I, really? Alistair Coper, great work, mate. These streams are very good. Appreciate that, Alistair. Thanks for always being here, mate. Appreciate it. Niels Appels, a Jam Pangang or Babby Pang Pang? I mean, I don't know what I ever mean. There's a brilliant video I saw today on Sport Joe of Joe Cole thinking he was speaking French when he joined Lille. I won't spoil it for you, but I promise you, go and look for that video. It's funny as fuck, actually. Rowan S. Gianpiero Gasparini of Atalanta and Paolo Fonseca of Rome have been linked with the Spurs job. What are your thoughts? Fonseca. I'm very concerned that Fonseca's left and they've appointed the outdated one. Gasparini would be fascinating, wouldn't it? There could be something very, very fun in there with Gasparini. Wouldn't mind that because it could be an absolute car crash, but it could be fun to get Gasparini. So it would definitely be my preference. My understanding is that there's a lot of Italian managers that are being hoarded out in the media basically for jobs at the moment, and Tottenham are not looking for anyone who's been in Serie A at the moment. If they were, I'd imagine it probably would be Gasparini, but he's going to get Atalanta in the Champions League again. Tottenham aren't going to qualify for it, so I'm sure if he was going to leave there, it would probably be for another Champions League job. AML anti-money laundering, says Murray Roach. Benny Blanco, hi James. Standard Sky FF question. Best one to lose for Trent, Nacho or Siyunchu? Why you want to lose Trent, mate? Genuine question. Why do you want to lose Trent? Nacho or Siyunchu? I don't understand why you want to make that move now, mate. Come next Thursday, you're going to want to reverse that. Absolutely. When Liverpool have 4 to go and Leicester will only have 2. I've got to say, Benny, neither. Don't get that. Unless I miss something with Trent. Not for me, my friend. I'd have to give you the truthful advice, and the truthful advice would be neither. Let it be, mate. You must have some Leicester coverage for tonight. I don't believe you've suddenly gone, oh shit, I need something now. DM me if you need to, mate. For me, it's a hold. Joe Finney Batter, you were right that Rushford is the only one I don't have on free hit from the top captains. It was a little bit kind of worked out on price, wasn't it? It was fairly obvious. GK16, got any thoughts about FFS that you're willing to share? Yeah, I wish the guys well. I think they made a mistake with the pricing with the VIP stuff. It wasn't publicised very well, which is a shame because it's a community-driven event. And I'm sure they'll do really, really well with it. And I wish the guys... I mean, I've spoke to Mark a couple of times this week. And I spoke to Mark about the event. We had a chat on Zoom a few weeks ago, which he said on Black Box last night. He said he spoke to me and stuff. We did have a chat about the event and stuff. I wish them really well. I'm sure it'll go great. I think some of the publicity of it has been a bit pushy and stuff, and I've not agreed with that particularly. And I think they would have been better off, in my honest opinion, and I don't mind sharing it, they would have been better off doing it as kind of a launch, and it feels they've pushed a bit hard with it in the first instance. But no doubt they've got some great people behind it, and I don't doubt that it will go very, very well. So I wish them all the best of luck. The VIP 50 quid was, wow, to be honest with you. But in fairness to them, I mean, what was it? It took them like 2 hours to obviously get their heads together and so know we're doing that. So look, they listened to the feedback, they amended it. I'm sure it will be a great event. I won't be going personally, but I'm sure it will be a great event. FPL PTSD. Any lessons learnt from Sky? I'll tell you why I won't be going as well, because I'll probably be doing a fucking deadline stream, and that was the first thing that caused an issue. I said it's a bad date. It's a great date for the public. It's a bad date for content creators. On the first day of game week 1, would you rather I went to FF Fest or would you rather I did a deadline stream? I should warn you at this stage now that if Tottenham at home, I probably won't be doing a deadline stream either. And I said I can't commit to anything until I know what Tottenham's fixtures are next season in terms of what I'm doing. FPL PTSD, any lessons learnt from Sky this year? Yeah, loads. I'd like to list them and put them all in a podcast, my friend, at some stage. But I've learnt what I thought last summer, that the game is absolutely winnable. And you change a couple of decisions and I genuinely would have had a shot at it. There were mistakes I made. And there were a few things I should have let go. Like particularly Joel Matip when Liverpool played Burnley that night when Salah was benched. It was a massive mistake. And there's a few others. But yeah, I've learnt a lot this year in terms of the differential play would be now to really get the differentials in, like kind of like Zaha tomorrow and stuff, which is what I wanted to do when it originally looked like it was only going to be them playing on Tuesday night. It's not worth it now for me. It'd only be for people who've got a lot of transfers left. Not worried so much about going differentials in the middle of the season. You just need to keep going with people. There are so many things, but the biggest thing is that I really believed last summer that the game was winnable, and I've learned that it absolutely is. Cole, do you think there's any chance of UEFA moving the final to England? No chance, mate. Villarreal went through last night, so I imagine that'll be in Poland. No, I wouldn't have thought so. If they used their brains, obviously, yes, they would have it at Villa Park, for example. And I've seen a few people, Villa Park, Champions League final. Does it fucking matter? You get an extra 10,000 fans in the ground than what you get in Turkey. Turkey's in full lockdown. It doesn't make any sense. Surely it would be better for Istanbul if they picked up the phone or picked up Zoom and said to them, look, this is a situation. We've got 2 English clubs. Is it safe for us really to bring 8,000 fans over from England? Probably not really. Is it good for Turkey when they're on lockdown, etc.? Would it not be better for Istanbul and the Ataturk if UEFA said to them, look, we're really sorry, but we're going to put you at the back of the queue and you'll get another Champions League final in a few years' time and you'll be able to have full capacity and properly rake in the money from tourism that it brings and stuff like that, rather than now? I mean, what's the actual point of it? It's not, Istanbul would be better off waiting another 2-3 years and then having it again, wouldn't they? There you go. I don't know. Absolutely should get moved to England. And to be fair, the conversation should have been happening with both, jokes aside, for the Champions League and Europa League about bringing the tournaments here once the quarterfinals were done. I know why the venues have to be chosen so long in advance, but sometimes some common sense should come in. I mean, even what we had to pay to end up getting to Madrid in 2019 is absurd. The way airlines take the piss, etc. You couldn't get a hotel out there or fuck all, because, I mean, it didn't help, obviously, for us that year. Liverpool went through the night before, so even Liverpool fans were just taking all the flights from London and stuff. It was a nightmare. And for Chelsea and Arsenal to go to Azerbaijan was disgraceful, really. So, yeah, I get why you say, oh, you shouldn't deny these countries have a European final and stuff. I get that, and I accept that to a certain degree, but why Azerbaijan, eh? Got anything to do with money, perhaps, like Qatar? Again, let's not paint UEFA out to be angels. Atul said, just a thought to think about. I know Bruno's an obvious captain, but if he plays a whole game without Pogba, which seems likely, his long overdue haul could be coming. Atul, FPL's dead now, mate. Deadline's gone, mate. Miena says, hey, James, will you and Dave continue Fantasy Weekly podcast, or is it under a different name on Spotify? Who? You got me confused with someone else, possibly. I don't know. Is it someone from Fantasy Weekly or something? Do you think I'm James Copeland? Is that what you're thinking? It's good lad, James, as well. I'm going to guess that you think I'm James Copeland. I'm not James Copeland. Steve Jones. Hello, mate. Did you watch Line of Duty and what did you make at the ending? I made from my timeline that the ending was shit. No, unfortunately, I haven't. I may go back and watch it, but everyone was so vexed about the ending, weren't they? Azzy, you're creating your dream music festival lineup. Who headlines the 3 days? Prodigy, Radiohead, Metallica. I'm a 90s guy. Atul says, I think AML could be Americ Laporte. Oh, it could be. Just put fucking Laporte. Cyrus, what do you think about Fest event? I've covered that. Michael Loy. James, have you ever considered working in football? Ever been recruited? I'm working in football now, mate. I'm very, very blessed, thank you. Yeah, but obviously extremely difficult industry to get into. I'm obviously blessed that I am now working in football to a certain degree. James Clark, great work with your stream. What is your everyday job? This is it now, mate. The patrons support the fact that I don't work 9 to 5 anymore. I work more like 9 to midnight, Monday to Friday, basically. No, it's not as bad as that. Please don't feel sorry for me. Don't, because I'm very, very lucky. This is what I do. It's a full-time job. So if you want to support what we do, you want to contribute, Planet FPL. That's not right, is it? www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. You can support the content from £3 a month. There's a good chance as well. At least one of the summer months is going to be free, if not both June and July. And we'll still keep putting content on there as well. Because we want to reward the people that supported us through our first full season and stuff. And obviously get new people involved as well. So if you want to say thanks, there's no live, super chats or anything like that in here. I could do that, skip the questions, do the super chats and stuff. There's none of that. If you want to say thanks for the content me and Suj provide, that's the best place. Drop us £3 a month on Patreon. If you want extra 5 podcasts a week, drop us £8 a month on Patreon. FPL Hitman, UEFA just announced some reintegration measures for 9-12 clubs in the Super League with disciplinary committee. Hi James, good luck mate. I'll have to have a full read of that. Now in Rayford, anti-money laundering. Atul says, who do you think are the best managers who aren't currently employed? Doesn't matter whether Spurs would consider them or be considered by them. Best managers unemployed. Ferguson, Wenger, Bill Nicholson. I don't think there's a huge amount at the moment. I guess one of the obvious ones would be Allegri, but people keep telling me Juventus fans weren't big on him and stuff either. So he's one I guess springs to mind. Mikel Arteta this time next week maybe. Yeah, I definitely weren't going to be saying Mourinho. FPL Warrior, hi James. Ever done a stadium tour other than White Hart Lane or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Well, I haven't done one at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yet. I did at the old White Hart Lane. Real Madrid have done, and Barcelona. Bernabeu was great. It's the first thing they did at the. I thought the new camp was a bit shit because they didn't really take you around the stadium. It more took you around the museum. At the Bernabeu, the first thing they did when I went the stadium tour, this was back in 2006. You stand outside what's mainly their home end, and you go in the lift. Okay. Seems a bit shit for the start, and you come out the lift and you're at the back of the upper tier and it's like, wow, okay, this is why you started here. And they take you all around the ground, different levels and stuff. Brilliant museum. Bernabeu tour is well worth doing. Again, I did that 15 years ago, but I don't suppose it's worse now than what it was then. Miller Marsh, Yo James, thoughts on Norwich's chances next season? An upgrade on Pookie needed, keep Wendy and Skip back, and we can cause some problems in my opinion. Don't think Oliver Skip's injury. He's done a metatarsal, hasn't he? He's going to be doubtful to return for the start of the season. I know Tottenham hopefully make pre-season, but it's going to make it difficult for him to take him back, I think, because whoever's new at Tottenham's going to want to look at him. I'm certain. It's the way Norwich fans have spoke this season that he should probably be getting in the Tottenham team. I know FPL Badger, our Norwich correspondent, thinks that Buendia could leave to fund new arrivals, but Mark is very keen to say that he still thinks Pookie can do the business in the Premier League. If you didn't listen to that pod a couple of weeks ago, People's Poll, it was just me and Mark FPL Badger talking about Norwich and their squad and promotion and stuff. Cyrus Barnard, who would you rather win Champions League? I mean, I'd rather want Manchester City won it personally. just because I dislike Chelsea a little bit more, but there's not a lot in it. Francis Logan, Brill stream. Spurs should sign Elianusi from Southampton so he doesn't go back to Celtic. Please sign him. Has he even been a frequent starter for Celtic this year? I'm not sure he's even been starting every week, and that would concern me. He ain't starting every week in Scotland. Himanshu Sharma, it was Maitland-Niles, James, my bad. Hey, we got an answer. And to be honest, it's what I thought it probably was, but it just didn't make sense, mate. FPL Hitman, 15 mil as goodwill gesture fines for the 9 clubs. Juve, Barca, Madrid to face disciplinary committee. I mean, 15 mils dropped the ocean, isn't it? And to be honest, they're lucky that's what they got away with. I heard earlier in the week that it was more likely to be about 30 million. Betty Blanca, apologies, mate. Which one to lose from Siyunchu Nacho to bring in Trent? Fucking hell. Sorry, think I worded it weirdly. Haha. That's better. You want to do that tomorrow? My advice would be possibly wait till Thursday, depending on what coverage you've got. So I've got like Maddison and Iheanacho, mate. And my thoughts are that I might need one of them to cover me this. If you haven't got any Southampton Palace, imagine you've got Bruno who might get rested Tuesday, and the other Leicester player you've got might get rested. I think I'd wait to Thursday, honestly. But in terms of which to get rid, I mean, if you're moving Siyunchu, it sounds straightforward to say get Trent, but getting rid of Iheanacho might open up a door for you for Calvert-Lewin or Antonio or something next weekend, something different. I don't know. Obviously, Antonio's a midfielder in Sky, that wouldn't work. But again, I'd wait. I don't think I'd make the transfer tomorrow, mate. Honestly, I know that looks like a great fixture. If you're going to captain him, fine. And I would probably say sell Iheanacho. Purely because I think of the two, Siyunchu, I don't see any reason why Siyunchu wouldn't start on Tuesday. So that would be my answer. Simon said, how did you come up with the Name Planet Fpl? Like most things, I didn't. It's just something Suj came up with and it stuck. Natasha Stubbs, couldn't you arrange to stream live at the FFS launch? No. I'm not particularly interested in doing that, personally. It's being spoken about as something that's possible. They're saying they can do that sort of thing, but I would rather not have a load of noise in the background while I did it. It's not for me. Like I said, I can't commit to it at the moment because I don't know when Tottenham are playing that game week first and foremost, so I might not be streaming at all. Joe Finney Badder, Turkey added to the red list for UK travel. Oh, that's interesting. Nicola Torco, James, this might be a topic you've previously discussed, but I'm very interested in your opinion. Do you think Levy messed with the fans' aspirations once more by firing Jose Mourinho too early? No, fired him too fucking late, mate. 6 days prior to a final. No, listen, he sacked him because he was 7th in the league and he could get rid of a load of money. And he knew he had the 2 poorest teams in the league this year coming up next. And then if Mourinho finished in the top 6, it was going to cost him a lot more money to sack him. That's reality. And he was definitely sacking him. As I'd said many times on this stream and on podcast, it wasn't a case of if anymore. It was just a case of when. And that's where Levy believed he found the right time. It's easy to say in hindsight, we'd have had a better chance if Mourinho was in charge for the final, and I don't particularly disagree with that actually. We also might have got beat 4 or 5-0 if Mourinho had been in charge, so could he have not come up with a way to defend versus a team led by Pep? Did he do that when we lost 3-0 at the Etihad in February? No. Would he have left a clearly non-explosive Harry Kane for a full 90 minutes? Yes. Guess we'll never know. On that same note, how great did it feel to be back at your team's match with the outdated one actually gone and not in charge anymore? It just felt great to be back in the ground and singing again, mate. It was really good. The atmosphere was so much better than what I thought it would be. Ray says, hi James, I remind you about the DM. This is not a good time to be reminding me about the DM, mate. Please don't say nothing to me till... When do you need it by? When do you need it by? Message me in the morning, if you can. As he said, study stuff on those bands. Cheers. Grant me access 69. Yes on those band choices. Javino 99. Hi James. Great content as always, mate. Particularly like the online discrimination pod covered by yourself and Sturge this week. Thank you. Who's your top 3 choices for Spurs job? Keep up the good work. I'm open-minded about it. I've had this in the past where I've got hooked up in terms of, and I'll tell you truthfully, when Tottenham appointed Pochettino, I'd got myself down a rabbit hole completely wanting Frank de Boer. Honestly, ironically from Ajax where Ten Hag is now. And then Pochettino got appointed, and even though he was someone that I really wanted originally, I'd got my heart set on De Boer, so then I actually felt a little bit disappointed, and then I remembered why I wanted Pochettino in the first place. I wrote about this when we first started and stuff, about watching Pochettino Southampton at Chelsea, and just loving the way that... And they got beat, they lost 3-1. Just loved the way that they played. Preferences, I'll be honest with you, right now, I will have no complaints if it's Potter. And I think that might be the direction we're heading in, slowly, actually. Shame for Brighton. Really would be a big shame. I would have no qualms with getting Potter. I'm not bothered about having a big name. I just want us to play good football. First and foremost, I want to go back to football next year and I want to enjoy it again. That's what I want more than anything. I want, when the weekend comes round, to forget my troubles and go and really feel like I could shout my team on, rather than watching the games like I'm passive and I'm not involved in, etc. And I had that feeling last January, February, before COVID and stuff. So I just want a manager whose teams can play on the front foot, aggressive, win them without the ball, play with a high intensity, and obviously, listen, you can play direct football that's exciting, right? There's no problem with that, but generally wants to play football. I want fast energy. What essentially Tottenham are looking for is Pochettino, basically. I wouldn't want Pochettino back. I'd be happy to say that. I would in the future, but I just don't think it's right. It would be right for him to come back when, for whatever reason, him and the players, there was a parting, and so many of them players are still there. So I don't agree with reappointing Pochettino at all. I don't think that's right. Ask me that again in 3 or 4 years, I'll say, yeah, he can come back. I don't think it's right for the moment. Brendan Rodgers I'd like, but I can't see that, to be honest. I'm kind of settling in my mind that it could well be Potter, to be honest. Jane Clark says, cheers. Have you a chance of an advert? We'll sign up for next season. Thank you, James. Sorry, Spotify doesn't say the last name, so when I saw James and FPL, I thought it was you. My bad. In my defence, your voice is similar. Is it? Right, I'm going to cover off. Whenever it gets to 7 o'clock, I'm going to cut this off, guys, because I'm fucking hungry. FPL Hitman, cheers, man. More details will come in. Have a good week, sir. I love the show. You and Suj do too. My favourite was the European Super League episode. He said, fuck 'em, let them. Yeah, it was great on that pod, Suj. FPL Hitman, no, mate. Their voices are very different. Heard my fair share of both weekly and Planet FPL. Very different. I'm kind of agreeing. Monday would be perfect, Ray. Please do it early though. Yeah, actually, just if you message me Monday, I'll definitely do it Monday. I promise you. Sunshine says, with one treble game week, what's the fun? Are you sure this is your team? I'm definitely sure that's my team, mate. Yeah. Azzy Claude has had his funeral today. He was a wise man. Is it time for Arteta to go? In your opinion, well put. Someone said it would have been very apt if Arsenal released a statement sacking him when the hearse went past the stadium today. Is it time to go? Unfortunately for Arsenal, it's crossed the line where a lot of the fans are probably not going to change their mind on Arteta now, I don't think. I don't know where this whole trust the process thing came from, where that started from. But it's a nonsense. I had someone say last night, fuck the process, and I did think, I'm not sure that sacking him's right though, on the outside. Really, I think there's something about him. I can't explain it because most of the time I watch him, I think they're shit. But sometimes I watch him in some big games, and I think tactically they look good. Think of Chelsea at home, Manchester United away. They've had some good performances actually in some of the more difficult games. Tottenham at home, I know we were useless, but they were quite good on the day. I'm not convinced. I just think they've got a lot of bad players, actually. A lot of bad players. And you get a new manager, he's still going to have the same shit players. It's a problem that Tottenham are going to have in the immediate, but I think Arsenal's state is worse, actually. I think they're in a worse state. Tottenham have got better depth to the squad at the moment, I think. I'm not convinced sacking him's the right answer. But I wouldn't be surprised if we found something out at the end of the season. I think it might actually hurry Tottenham up, ironically. Because I think Tottenham might be thinking there's a chance he gets sacked, and then Arsenal are probably in the market for similar managers that Tottenham are. And that could be problematic. for both clubs, actually. So it might speed up what Tottenham are doing. So you might think, yeah, they'll be looking for similar manager. And probably in terms of the profile for Arsenal, they probably would be looking for similar to what Tottenham are looking for at the moment. Javinho99, cheers. Would you take Scotty Parker? Have a feeling Spurs might move for him. I wouldn't hate it if it was Scott Parker. I would certainly say that. We wouldn't be anywhere near my sort of first choices at the moment, but I wouldn't hate it. Don't see that happen. Rob Pick saying, see the captain list. What are you saying, bruv? Atul says, if Spotify happens, do you think we're going to have teams by Amazon, Facebook, Google? Yeah, I've said that. I mean, to be honest, the only way Tottenham get brought out is by a massive brand like an Amazon or Google. I've kind of said that. And I guess basically it would be Spotify buying Arsenal, wouldn't it? Let's be realistic. As he said, did you see even Ty wants Arteta out? Madness. Yes, I did see that. You got to have a look when they're fucking losing their shit, haven't you? FPL Hitman would love United to be owned by Tinder. Javinho99, Amazon owner Jeff Bezos is a United fan. As United's fan, only hope to get the Glazers out. I thought Conor McGregor was buying it. Josh Riddle, meet up in the works for the summer. Yes, 100%. I'll even tell you a date for the benefit of those on the stream. July 24th, July 31st. Something is quite likely. We're not talking podcast live show. We're talking about a meet up in a pub. Come and say hello. Hopefully I'll have some details that I can share with everyone in the next week or so. And then it's plenty planned. People have got plenty of notice if they want to come down. No, it won't cost. It's not anything to compete with Fest. The people from Fest would be more than welcome if it happens. It would just be a meet up in a pub. And if 20 people turn up, 20 people turn up. 200 people turn up, 200 people turn up. Eliza says, don't you think going without 3 Man United is a good idea? Yes, I absolutely wish I'd got 3 Manchester United players and left myself with only 6 players for next week. Nicola Torco says, fair enough, James. Thanks for your answer, mate. Glad you enjoyed yourself after it. Was you lot who brought the atmosphere, watched on TV? Yeah, what? See, they're quiet. Good luck this game week. Have a great weekend. As he says, Canelo versus Saunders. You staying up for it? No, but I fancy Canelo. Stian Bosdale. I watched a brilliant little programme on him on BBC the other night, actually. Stian Bosdale. Imagine that green logo on those red shirts. Make Spotify happen. Grim. And Eliza says, it's nice that you're concentrating in game week 36 and game week 35. Can we cover the points of game week 35 in game week 36? Possibly, but I'm not doing any more FPL questions now. FPL Hitman saying, Andy Martin has planned a Chapman meet up in the works on Bournemouth Beach. What retro kit are you wearing? I probably can't fit into any of them, but I'll see if I can find a Tottenham kit from around about that time, possibly. Josh Riddle says, best away day in the Prem, whichever one we win. I like Villa Park. I'll leave it there. I'm never going to end it, guys. I'll make it 7 o'clock. Thank you very much, guys, for all the comments, the questions, the interactions. Love it all. Enjoy the game. It's going to be a long one, guys. So like I said, if day 1 doesn't go well, day 2 might be better. And if day 2 don't go well, day 3 might go better. And vice versa. If you smash it tonight with 3 Leicester players, it doesn't mean you've won the game week. There's a long way to go. Relax, watch some football, enjoy yourself, chill out. Next week, content-wise, I can tell you 2 main podcasts from us. Monday and Tuesday, we'll break it up into a review of the weekend games on Monday. Then on Friday, we'll get that out as early as possible for you on Friday, discussing the games from Monday to Thursday, and obviously kind of what our thoughts are for transfers for game week 36. I'll obviously do deadline streams same time next week as well, before it's Newcastle Man City next Friday night, isn't it? So same time. Tuesday be People's Power. I've got something in mind, but I can't confirm what it is yet. Wednesday be Sky. Thursday be Clash of the Correspondents with Harrison and Gemma Eno and Dan Lord previewing West Bromwich Albion and Liverpool in game week 36. As I said, if you want to support the content, you can support Planet FPL on Patreon from £3 a month. From intermediate tier, you get an additional £8 a month, additional additional 5 podcasts every week between Monday to Friday, which themes are normally a Q&A on a Monday, Tottenham and West Ham Dito on Tuesday, Wednesday something random, a quiz on Thursday, and we do a full game week preview on a Friday. Although we might do an additional Sky next Friday if we're doing a second main FPL podcast for everybody next Friday, actually. And from advanced tier, I do daily articles on all the games that happen in the Premier League, videos on random stuff as well. But only support the content if it's because you want to support the content. Can't make you a better FPL manager. We're not particularly good at it. We just like talking about it. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Good luck. Ciao for now.